Hey there, fearless gamers. This is Matt the Clown. With me today, I've got... Say hi, guys.
Hello, this is the Stark Lord.
And this is Matt the Vet.
So how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. I'm excited for what we're doing right now. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, today we are going to be doing a podcast for you guys. You've been asking for it, so we figured follow through. Yep. Something to note is we're not necessarily going to be talking about the same kind of things we talk about on Touching Base, but more just about general stuff, things that interest us, really whatever we feel like talking about that day.
And occasionally we may do some hobby thing, but it's
oh yeah, well if that comes up, that comes up.
Yeah, well, we got hobby stuff to talk about today, though.
And hopefully we can get some, maybe later do more interview stuff like we did with Romeo from Battle Film.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to do that. Alright, so I'm just gonna hop into it. I found an article today about Sony apparently has just recently confirmed that the PlayStation 2 has ceased production worldwide. Now, that sounds like not a big deal probably to some people, especially to our younger viewers, especially considering it was launched 12 years ago. Well, yeah. But almost 13 years ago now.
Kind of old.
But considering the fact
that
they're
still producing it.
Well, not anymore. They're not.
Well, it was a really solid
from this
system,
time,
you know.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much it's considered the world's most successful console, considering it sold 153 million units worldwide as of March 2011.
Yeah,
you know
it
that
still has sales. I mean,
by the end of 2010, it sold over 1.5 billion games. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I'm just like, I thought that because you pretty much you couldn't find them anywhere anymore. I thought Sony like dropped it like a sack of bricks.
It's likely they were still producing them for other countries.
Yeah.
And like we probably weren't the primary market, but there's a lot of countries out there that get things after us, that get things, you know, on a slightly different schedule. Like Australia almost always gets things after everyone else.
No one likes Australia. Kind of sucks for them.
Not even Australia likes Australia.
Or even like in Canada where they just got a new Wii console. Right.
So there's a lot of lag as far as where things pop up and when. But the fact that it that it's worth mentioning. Yeah. You know, I think that's a big deal. You know, like good night, sweet prince.
It had a great run. The PlayStation 2 is my favorite console, honestly, besides the Super Nintendo. But you know, it had a good run. It had a good run, and it's done. They're going to make a PlayStation 4 soon. They gotta stop making the 2 eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
here's a question. What was your favorite game on the PS2?
Oh, God! How can you ask such a question like that?
Question.
How can you ask that?
Well, for me, it's fairly easy. That one, my all-time favorite game, and that is Zone of the Enders 1 and 2.
That's games. You can't say 2. You can't say 2 games. You said game. Nah, that's fine. That's fine.
The one I'd have to say the most bizarre game that I ever had was the Armor Core series. That was a game where I'd buy every copy of the game that came out, but never play them.
Wait, you bought every copy of the game that came out. Hold on. I didn't know you had that kind of money.
Yeah,
buy every copy. So nobody else has ever played it because you bought every copy.
Yep.
You know, Armor Core was actually pretty decent, Matt. You should go play those. They were pretty good mecha games.
Well, I can't. Matt bought every copy. I can't find it. Yeah, see, pay attention to why I'm making fun of people. Yeah, seriously, that's screwed up.
No. I'm going to start my own video game rental business, and my entire stock is going to be the Armor Core series.
So I knew like 5 games, basically.
Actually,
yep.
I want to actually touch on that subject in a second, but before we do that, I want to answer your question. If I had to choose in this moment a favorite PlayStation 2 game or game series, it would be Devil May Cry.
Fair enough.
That's a good one.
Devil May Cry 2 never happened.
Yeah.
But one
Devil May Cry 2 never happened to anyone.
Yeah, 1 and 3 were great, and I'm glad 4 was as good as it was, even though it wasn't on the PS2. But those were some formative games for me, I'd have to say.
Those
Dante's my hero. Yeah. Original Dante, not this new DMC crap Dante, but that would be the whole podcast if I got into it.
Yeah.
And it would just be me screaming into the microphone and calling Capcom idiots, and anytime you guys would be like, "Oh, well, I want to talk," I'd be like, "You shut up." Right now.
Keep going.
So I'm not gonna get into that fury.
Fair enough.
But Devil May Cry. Stark Lord. Smurf.
If I had right now, off the top of my head, I can only really think of one game I really enjoyed on PlayStation 2, and that's Final Fantasy X.
Okay, I can get behind that.
I know a lot of people don't like that game, but
well, those people.
It's not my favorite Final Fantasy. I'll say that right now. That was 6. 6 was the best. But,
but 10 was really, really dope. 10 was great.
10 was like the best movie I ever played. I'll agree with that. That's
oh God. But yeah, let me touch real.
I love that much.
Yeah, let me touch real quick on Biz. You made a joke about incidentally for the podcast, we call Matt Biz sometimes. We'll explain that. We'll explain that a long time. We'll explain that sometime. But anyway, Biz, I was reading the other day, and this is actually a fairly related subject of news, but Sony actually recently patented technology that will make it impossible to sell their games used.
Really?
Basically, it's like a little computer chip jobby that'll go like just under the label of your game disc, or somewhere involved in the game disc, and when you put it into your console, it permanently registers that disc to your console.
Yeah.
And you can't play that disc on any other console.
We'll see how long that
at
lasts.
any time.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they're even gonna move forward with it. Just because they patented it doesn't mean they're gonna use it.
It's just primarily they're sitting there going, okay, if pirating games starts to get a problem,
I don't think it's a pirating issue. It's not a pirating issue because there's almost no pirating happening on their console. I mean, it happened at first with the PS3, but then they shut that down real fast.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of pirating that goes on for console gaming. It's more their response to GameStop, I think.
Yes.
Considering GameStop became a monster by playing the used games racket, and now I think so many people buy their games used. I know for the most part I do, because I don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like
a
I tend to be
industry, and it kind of sucks because it's a secondary industry, and the guys that make the games don't get any of the money from it, and that's why they're all angry about it.
It's game pawn.
But on the plus side, though, it does have a slight positive aspect to it. A good example is just say let's just use Devil May Cry for an instance. Let's say someone here goes, well, what's this Devil May Cry game that they're talking about, and goes out to GameStop, and they see the old Devil May Cry 1. The HD collection or whatever. And they start playing it, and they're like, oh, hey, this is really cool, and then they start getting into the series, and then when the next Devil May Cry game comes out, there's a higher probability that they're going to go out and buy it new just because they don't want to wait so long for a used copy to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll buy new games if it's in a series that I like and I really want to play it. I did that with Assassin's Creed 3. I traded in 10 games to be able to buy it. And that's another thing, that if they mess with the used games market to an extent where it starts to become an issue, trading in games won't be as big of a deal anymore. You won't really be able to trade in, your games for money at GameStop.
Yeah,
you can understand why they're doing it though. Like,
I'm not saying I disagree. I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm saying that
it's not
the best move for us as a consumer, but it's the best
it's
move
punishing
for
the consumer for something another company has set up.
Yeah. This is true.
Like, really what they should be doing is talking to GameStop, sending out injunctions to GameStop and be like, hey, you can only sell used games that are X months old.
They did that.
You can't sell a used copy of a game that came out yesterday.
Them the finger.
Well, yeah, but they need to move forward with that because, like, I get
this is
like they like tell them you can't sell.
Been losing a lot of control over the past like 6 to 8 months over the game market, and now they're getting more power. Because
also there's other games where there's other companies that are also coming out with used game sales. Like Best Buy does it now.
Yep.
You can
Walmart,
trade them in. But really, what all they need to do is find a way to ensure that retailers don't sell used games that are, don't sell used games that are only from like, say 6 months ago. Put a time limit on it so that you're not going in and finding Call of Duty, 10, or like Mass Effect 4 or whatever. Because I found Darksiders 2 for $5 cheaper than Darksiders 2 new.
Yeah.
And that's been out for what, 3-4 months now?
Yeah.
Funny thing about that is I'm sure the person that traded that in got like $5 for it.
Yeah, that's another thing is they play they play the customer on that.
Yep.
But like, can we not screw the consumer on all sides?
I know one of my girlfriend's one of my girlfriend's brother's friends traded in a game and they offered him a penny.
Yeah, that's happened to me before.
And
I think that happened to me with I think that happened to me with the first Dragon Ball Z Budokai game.
Well, that's a terrible game.
It was not terrible. It just wasn't great.
I'm kidding. I never played it.
I think the best was I had one of the Fire Emblem games. I think it was Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. It was like the only Game Boy Advance game we got in the States before Fire Emblem got super popular after its Smash Brothers introduction.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Because I don't think there was any main console games for Fire Emblem before Smash Brothers.
Yeah, well, it was big in Japan, but we only got the 7th game as Game 1 on the Game Boy Advance.
Which is, normal.
I go to trade it in, and they're like, "Oh, whoa, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, this is going to be worth a lot. We are giving you $250."
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, that's a lot for you people?
If you're... Yeah, exactly. Honestly, if you want to make money on games that you already own and want to sell them, you don't go to GameStop. You go to eBay, or you go to like a play and trade, like a smaller retailer that like really has to sink or swim by how they treat their consumers.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a quick store credit towards a game that you really, really want, you're always going to go to GameStop.
Go to GameStop, yep.
Unless something like really shoots that down. Which I am curious to see if Sony moves forward with this and like really implements it heavily on their games. What will happen to GameStop?
I don't think, actually personally, getting a bad side, I've never actually bought a game at GameStop.
Good man.
Really?
Well,
I try to avoid it.
Yeah, I stopped playing console games like, in high school.
Hipster.
I'm sorry, I didn't have a good console. I had a Super Nintendo until I actually don't own
That is a good console.
That is a good
What is
console.
wrong with you? The Super Nintendo is one of the greatest consoles of all time.
I'm saying is like they stopped making games for that when we were like in elementary school. In high school and college, they weren't exactly making games for the console I had. And
okay, so you play the games you've had.
I do. I'm just saying. Like I never went to GameStop because I never had games I could play.
Can I just say that the last time I played a game more than once was probably actually on the PS2, probably Devil May Cry. But before that was probably Star Fox 64. Since that like era of gaming, I played through a game once and then I never looked at it again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just me changing or if that's the industry changing.
I think it depends on the industry. Like, I personally find, if you ask me, Nintendo games, I find I'm a little bit more inclined to play the game again after it's been made, because I feel like, it's just made in the sense, well, it was so entertaining, I could sit through it again and play it again.
It depends on what kind of game you're playing. If replay value is an important part. In most modern games, replay value is multiplayer, and if you're not into that, you're not going to play it more than once.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll play through a Pokemon game a couple of times over the course that I have it before the new one comes out, but that's a Pokemon and that's like crack.
Yeah.
But like...
It's like World at War crack.
Actually, you know what? No, the last time I played a game through, or played, like, I spent a lot of hours in Skyrim, but I spend a lot of hours in Elder Scroll games because they're designed in such a way where it's like somebody with ADD like myself, is like, there's too many things for me to do. I have to do as many of them as I can. And then it's like, there are just so many silly bugs and the ragdoll physics. It's just hours of fun doing depraved things to non-existent human beings.
Oh, yeah.
That was the knowing, yeah.
That was an interesting reaction right there.
What have you done in the land of Tamriel?
Really like that one book.
What happens in Tamriel stays in Tamriel.
Oh, Matt, you remember the, what was it you showed me? The stupid story in there with the saucy maiden?
Oh, the lusty Argonian maid.
Yes, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
What?
Yeah. There's a series of books in, not just Skyrim, but also in Oblivion, called The Lusty Argonian Maid. And they're like trashy romance novels. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And now, for anyone that's listening who's never heard of that, replay value.
Yep.
Yeah, go find them, because there's
Go find the entire set.
Yeah, there's not just one book, it's like a series. It's so funny. Like, it reads like a bad porno, which is clearly intended. But, oh, it's so funny. There's a lot of fan art of it, too, but I don't recommend Googling that if you're under 18 years of age.
I don't recommend Googling that ever.
Well, it depends. I mean, well, alright, hold on, Starklord. Let's be honest. You're curious.
Nope.
You're Googling right now.
Says the man who,
Nope,
like, I had known you for maybe like a year when you showed me interspecies turtle sex on your phone.
No, I know you for like 5 years when I showed you that, and that
No,
was a
you
hilarious
didn't.
occurrence.
No, you didn't. When did you take that photo? That was not like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
Oh God, it really was.
Yeah, it was.
God, we've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah, we have.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Oh God, it hurts. I've known you for more than a third of my life.
Yep.
I want you to die.
Speaking of, we did a lot yesterday during our battle that we did.
Wait, we did. What happened? Wait,
yeah,
what
we
happened?
were killing each other. We did a lot of dying, me and the Stark Lord, yesterday.
Oh, you mean in Legends of War? Yeah, we had our Legends. We recorded our Legends of War battle report yesterday. That was fun. It might be the first Warhammer 40k game I've ever won.
I think it is. Aside from maybe a combat.
And never again.
Hey, that's more wins than I have, I think.
Just going off of that, I know that most of you, everyone knows this Saturday is the new Dark Angels release of everything, the second codex of the 6th edition. Woohoo! I'll be doing a whole separate series on that myself, but there's just one thing I want you guys to wonder about, because I'm curious. What do you think of the new Landspeeder Vengeance? Because that's building a lot of talk on the internet as to people liking or disliking its appearance.
No, I actually probably should have asked for a picture before we started, because
go on Games Workshop right now. Go to advanced orders.
I'm gonna grab a picture right now for you.
Okay, because I mean, I don't love the way the land speeders have looked in the past in general.
You're not gonna like this one. I'm sorry. I don't like it at all.
It's I have
loading.
No problem.
It's alright. It's kind of, I don't know.
It looks stupid.
It's weird.
It's a vehicle.
I
don't love the way most vehicles look.
Like if you click a few to get up to the shrine, that's what everybody keeps gawking about and going.
The shrine is the thing with like the wing, like the green like angel thingies.
Yeah, everyone keeps going.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jabba's like barge from Star Wars. But, like, with Space Marines.
It just doesn't look like a speeder to me. I mean, okay...
No, it doesn't look fast. It doesn't look fast,
looks
aside from the fact that it's got, like, 4 engines, but it doesn't look... It looks fast, but not maneuverable.
Yeah.
One thing is
it'll get you where you're going.
Like,
it looks like
probably what I find is... Probably what I find is the most hilarious thing is everyone says when you have the shrine on top of it, that it looks like the Space Marines just sitting there playing dubstep.
No, he clearly is.
And
he's just up there, like, mixing.
If, he's got a whole bunch of buttons around him, and I think he looks less silly than the giant pipe organ that the Sisters of Battle shoots
hold on. That is simultaneously one of the silliest models I've ever seen, and one of the coolest models I've ever seen.
That pipe organ, the Exorcist tank, is one of the best models they've ever made. Design-wise, I mean, it's better on plastic and hell to put together.
It's so dumb, but so awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe it's a Devil May Cry fan in me, in that like pipe organs are just generally very cool, and the idea of a pipe organ launching missiles.
Furthermore,
is
it's obvious that like pushing the keys shoots the missiles. Like, what's this guy doing now that he's got a shrine around him instead of a big gun?
Supposedly, what that variant does is it allows friendly allies around him to gain an extra distance on their charge automatically. So you're guaranteed at, I think it's either 1 or 2 inches guaranteed on your charge no matter what. And he also grants stealth to anyone standing around him. So that dude in the back is basically coordinating, okay guys, they're over here to give them that extra range,
okay, so
and
he's
to
the tech
generate that
officer.
smoke thing. Yeah, he's essentially a tech dude.
I get it.
I mean, what else is he going to have around him aside from buttons?
Guns?
Well, there is a variant of that where he has 2 plasma cannons.
Yeah, I see that. He should
hanging
just
around
have
him.
that version. I'm just saying.
That one is slightly different. In that one, it replaces, instead of being the whole chargy, stealthy dude, this one's just a gunboat.
Yeah, I will say I don't really like that, but the Dark Talon, the new flyer, looks pretty nice.
Oh, that new flyer is pretty.
It looks really similar to the other one, the one for the normal Marines.
The Storm Raven?
Yeah, the stumpy-looking helicopter without rotors, but it's got wings, which is nice.
Yeah, well, the design guys said that when they did that, they wanted to make something that resembled the Storm Raven, so they kind of had a consistency. So it's like, okay, I can believe this is a Space Marine vehicle, and I can believe this is a Space Marine vehicle, because they're pseudo-similar, was what they were going for, which kind of makes sense in this style. I mean, pretty much all the Space Marines share the exact same vehicle, so obviously their variants would slightly look the same from each other.
Yeah, it also makes it easy for them to make new molds.
Yep.
Yeah, but
okay, so I hate to do this to you guys, but I have to change the subject.
That's fine.
okay.
Because I'm going to be sick. I just found an article, because that's what I'm going to be doing a lot of the time in this. I'm going to be like, you know, while talking, I'm going to be looking around for cool stuff to talk about.
Like the otter.
I was just linked to an article about a machine invented by the guy who invented the Segway. That, oh god, it's so bad. It's called the Aspire Assist Aspiration Therapy System.
I think I know where this is going.
And
can you put a link?
what
to
it is it's a thin silicone tube that goes from your stomach to a little poker chip-sized skin port in your skin to empty your stomach out after you've eaten to avoid it from being properly digested.
What?
It is essentially a bulimia machine.
Give me a link. I want to read about this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna send you guys this link.
I need to see
reading
this.
the description of it, like, you guys know me.
Yeah.
I'm not bugged out by many things. This genuinely made me nauseous.
Sounds like a modified peg tube in reverse.
Like, you know what? I'm just gonna read the how it works section here for the podcast, just so everyone can share my pain.
And then we'll
the
tell you what to do wrong.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it in.
Oh, this is a peg tube. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see. I'll do it as entertainingly as I can. The Aspire Assist Aspiration Therapy System works by reducing the calories absorbed by the body. After eating, food travels to the stomach immediately, where it is temporarily stored and the digestion process begins. Over the first hours after a meal, the stomach begins breaking down the food, and then passes the food on to the intestines, where calories are absorbed. The Aspire Assist allows patients to remove about 30% of the food from the stomach before calories are absorbed into the body, causing weight loss. To begin aspiration therapy, a specially designed tube, known as the A-tube, is placed in the stomach. The A-tube is a thin silicone rubber tube that connects the inside of the stomach directly to a discrete poker chip-sized skin port on the outside of the abdomen. The skin port has a valve that can be opened or closed to control the flow of stomach contents. The patient empties a portion of stomach contents after each meal through this tube by connecting a small handheld device to the skin port. The emptying process is called aspiration.
Okay, so check it. This is kind of reverse of a couple of already existing medical technologies. Like, there's a peg feeding tube, which you kind of put a port directly into the stomach when you're in the hospital and you can't eat and you don't want to put tubes down your throat.
Well, yeah, that's to save lives.
I know. And then this is interesting in that it's just, well, we're just going to put a tube in there so you don't get fat. It's a colonic bag, right? I mean, it's kind of like they're skipping a portion.
It's like a colostomy bag, only instead of poop, it's food you've eaten 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, so that you can't
I could see a truly fat, disgusting, vile human being emptying out their stomach and then just eating it again. But down at the bottom of this article, there's another little part here. This is the part that made me even more nauseous. Here's another
Initial
part
setbacks?
from initial setbacks. Here's the really yucky part. Initial setbacks have occurred because the pump struggles to break up large foods. It struggles to break up large foods. One patient reported clogging and had to avoid eating cauliflower, broccoli, Chinese food, stir-fry, snow peas, pretzels, chips, and steak. Now here's the thing. This person was not eating cauliflower or broccoli if they've resorted to this therapy. And then, you know what? If you cut out Chinese food, pretzels, chips...
You're already solving.
Boom! You're stepping forward. Just do that.
I think
don't have a tube installed.
Isn't that it's getting clogged? It's that they need to masticate more.
Just say chew.
I like the word masticate. Yeah,
you
they need
would.
To chew more, clearly.
You
They're not
like
breaking down
stupid
their food
words
before they swallow.
But like, oh my god, the fact that this is like a thing,
and
like
that people are trying
hilarious.
to solve this problem with this kind of thing.
Why don't we just? I mean, okay. Anyone who's watch touching base knows that I'm fat. I am fat. I am overweight. I've been overweight for like the bulk of my life, you know. But every time I talk about it to somebody, like, oh, I'm having so much trouble losing weight. Why do so many people go, well, have you had the stomach stapling surgery? I'm like, no, because when I finally lose it, I want to have actually accomplished something.
Yeah, the stomach stapling is an interesting concept, but it actually doesn't do much in the long term. I mean, it'll reduce your ability to eat, but if you push it again and don't keep proper habits...
Yeah, exactly, because the stomach is an elastic organ.
Pretty much.
But, like, why? I just don't understand why people keep looking for... I get
fix.
it. Everyone wants, like, a pill or an easy solution. If you came to me tomorrow with some fairy dust and were like, hey, if you put this on your beef and cheese burrito, you will lose 1 million pounds. I would be like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that one. Well, yeah, but that... Okay, well, let me get into that in a second, because that stuff, I have a story about that. But, like, seriously, if the Blue Fairy showed up tomorrow and was like, you're now, you know, super hot and in perfect shape, I would be like, thank you, Blue Fairy, don't get me wrong. Everyone wants a Blue Fairy. But...
Yeah.
To install a tube from my stomach to the outside of my body.
The thing is with this is that it's going to cause irritation. You're going to have to be really careful after the surgery installation.
Right.
What
Like,
if you pull
maybe...
the tube out accidentally during activity?
Right, exactly. There's so many things that could go wrong with this, and like if I'm gonna have something non-organic installed in my body, it's gonna be like super cyborg guys. You know, like when I become a cyborg, it's gonna be because I want to be a badass, not because I want to not because I want to have bulimia without throwing up.
You don't want to be RoboCop. You'd like to still be able to enjoy eating.
But real quick, let me touch on that fairy dust thing that Biz said there. Okay, it's this product called I think it's Sansa.
Yeah.
Or it used to be Sansa, and now it's something else. It's basically something you put on your food, like
it's
almost
like
like a it's like salt, and that you put it on your food.
Like you were shaking salt on it.
And it's supposed to help you lose weight by reducing the amount of calories that are absorbed by that food.
Okay.
What they don't tell you is that it basically just breaks the food down into this like just disgusting mess inside your body, and that sometimes that disgusting mess will leak out through your butt unwanted. And you guys, I don't know if you've met Big Mike, but Phil, I know you've met Mike.
I know Mike. Yeah.
He was telling me a story about I think it was either his brother or one of his brother's friends, who was dating a girl who was using it.
Uh-oh.
Even though she wasn't really like fat, but she wanted to like lose a few, so she was using it. And he was staying over to her place one day, and he wakes up in the middle of the night, covered in this like
undigested goo. Can we leave it like that?
He described it like motor oil. essentially.
Yeah, that's undigested.
That had come out of this girl's butt, and all I can think of is that scene in The Godfather where he wakes up next to the horse head. Like, you look down, like, freaking out, because that would be the end of a relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of right there.
Okay, I am very much in love with my girlfriend. Very best time of my life with her. If I woke up covered in her butt motor oil, it would be over. I wouldn't be able to look her in the eye. I mean, granted, she's not the kind of person to take a product that would turn her butt into an engine, apparently. But just the sheer idea of waking up covered in the undigested slop that came out of another person, I can't handle it. God.
I totally get why it would happen though. In principle.
Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only way for a product like that to work.
Yeah, it makes the stuff undigestible. That means you can't take up fluid afterwards when it gets into the intestine, and then just
right. It's just God, it's just weight loss technology.
It's hilarious.
Aside from doing it the hard way technology, is so gross.
And I'm sure everyone who's listening to this is like, what the heck did I just click on?
They're like,
listen, we talked about gaming for a while, and then I had to share some pain.
I know.
I had to
I'm just
share.
Imagining what the faces of everybody listening to this right now is going.
Oh God! I'm hoping there's at least one guy laughing.
I'm laughing. Does that count?
Well, look, we probably have a bunch of people laughing, a bunch of people who stopped listening, and there's one person who's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna get a tube installed. That's what I'm gonna do." It's like that episode. It's like that episode of House where there's that really fat girl, and she's suffering from problems from being so fat, and House is telling her just get up and move around and stop eating, you fat cow. And she's like, nope, I'm gonna get bariatric surgery, and she's looking at it all up on her iPad, and she's being a real jerk to House. And then by the end of the episode, House is just you're just afraid, and he does his House thing, calling people out. And she starts crying. She's like, you're right, I am afraid. What if I fail? And it's supposed to be I'm pretty sure that was supposed to send a message of hey, you can accomplish it, fatties. But really, it just made fat people out to look like stupid jerks. Which a lot of TV does when they try to send positive weight loss emotions. They're like, nope, these people are dumb and mean.
The only show that I've discovered that does any type of content like that at all, and does it in a sense, I would say the best way, in my opinion, is the show Mike and Molly.
Never heard of it.
I don't even. Yeah, same.
It's basically a sitcom about two people who do have a weight problem. The heavyset girl from Bridesmaids is in it. She's the main character.
I didn't see Bridesmaids.
It's funny.
Okay, it's these two guys. This guy and this girl. One's a police officer. She's a school teacher. They meet at a Overeaters Anonymous meeting. And they hit it off, and they start dating, and it's their life, them just living their life day to day, and occasionally, trying to deal with their whole overeating problem. And it does it in such a way where it's it's never overly gross, it's never just a ha ha ha, look, they're fat type of thing. It's actually a really smart, and I'd probably say the best approach to that kind of stuff about, weight loss and dealing with it and doing your whole normal life thing that I've seen, at least in my opinion, where I wasn't just going, this is stupid.
Yeah, there was, I don't remember the name of the show, because I only saw, maybe 3 episodes, but there was a show a couple years ago that was about people with eating disorders. But it was a comedy?
Yeah, that was a comedy, too.
And it went to some pretty messed up places, but it did a really good job of treating the people with eating disorders as people with eating disorders, rather than there was one fat guy who his whole thing was that he's an overeater, but he wasn't a stereotype or anything. And honestly, most of the people on the show were fairly skinny. But it's a subject that can and has been approached properly.
Yeah, it's just very rare that you see it approached in a way that
exactly. There's so many movies and oh god, just so many cases in which you're looking at it, you're going, that's a stereotype fat person. You know, I mean, now granted, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those fat apologist fatties. In that you'll look on Tumblr or whatever. Tumblr is my favorite website to make fun of. You'll look on Tumblr or whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh, body acceptance, you know, fatties are beautiful." But then those same people will turn around and like yell at skinny people. It's like, "Where's your real body acceptance?"
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people because I genuinely believe and understand that being overweight is a health issue. Yeah. You know, I have a number of health issues that have been more and more exacerbated the more weight I've gained, and I have no self-control, so of course I just kept gaining weight. But you know, like I'm not even like saying, oh, body acceptance, but like, can we please represent people properly in the media?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
like it's this,
then it wouldn't be the media.
Well, I mean, like, at least in the fictional media.
Oh, most certainly not in the fictional media.
But like I get it.
Have elves and dwarves and stuff because everything like that starts with a racial stereotype.
Well, we don't have to represent them properly. They're not human. They don't have rights.
Speaking of that, what has anyone here seen any decent movies lately?
Yeah, so Matt said I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
You can. I read the book. You can talk about it. I just really want to see it.
The last film I actually saw also was The Hobbit. What did you think?
Since I'm not going to give anything away since Matt hasn't seen it,
I've read the book. Go ahead. I've read the book.
No, it stayed true to the book. They changed one little thing that I was a little annoyed at for like 2 seconds. I'm like, nah, it works in the movie. I just love the imagery.
Was it the addition of Galadriel? Is that what you're upset about?
Actually, it wasn't. It was something completely separate.
Okay. I don't know how long ago you read the book, but he did change quite a bit in that movie.
Oh yeah, but some of the changes were great. Like the explanation to why Thorin Oakenshield is called Thorin Oakenshield was awesome.
All right, well, don't tell me that because I want to see that.
Not saying a word.
If I could describe the movie in one way, there was one part that I personally had a problem with, and I'm going to say right now, warning, nitpick alert, it is a huge nitpick on my end, but it's like, it's one of those things where I don't like it, but it doesn't ruin the film for me. And then there's one other thing that it wasn't a problem for me, but I can tell a lot of people may have an issue with it, and that is Peter Jackson tends to have this thing where he hopes you never read the book, so you don't pick out what he changed.
I don't agree with that, but continue.
But at the same time, he hopes you read the book so he doesn't have to explain everything. And there is one part in the film that I think, if he just added a line, would have solved a major plot hole in the film. And
go ahead.
He didn't.
You can. I want to discuss this in earnest, so you can go ahead and.
Yeah, the biggest thing is for anyone who's ever read the book, at one point the cast meets a bunch of eagles.
Yeah,
and they go, "Oh, hey, could you take us a distance?" And in the book, the eagle's like, "Well, here's the thing: the place you want to go goes over a bunch of land full of settlers that we tend to steal food from.
Yeah, we pissed them off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk my dudes flying over that and getting shot at to bring you where you need to be. So I will drop you off the furthest we're willing to go." In the film, the eagles just show up, fly, land, and you could see the Misty Mountain all the way in the distance, and you're just sitting there going, you didn't take them where they need to go. Good guys, where are you going? Where are you going?
I didn't feel that way. I was okay with the eagles dropping them off without explanation. It was fine.
So I had no problem with it. You know, I'm just saying, like, that's the part of the film that I think a lot of people may have an issue with, is the why do the eagles just drop them off and not just bring them over to the end and could consider it a plot hole.
Well, the thing is, those are the same people that used to complain about why didn't the eagles fly Frodo to the bloody Mount Doom, and then
people still complain about that. People still complain about that, and the thing is, there's also people who complain about that in the books.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Speaking from a purely literary standpoint, Tolkien had made a mistake including the eagles the way he did, in that he used them as a as not even like a plot device. He just used them as
a conveyance.
Yeah, like just not even. They're just a Deus Ex Machina for a couple of things here and there. You know, he wanted to skip over that one area, or he wanted to skip over a little bit of travel time in The Hobbit, let's say. But then, like, you know, he wrote himself into a corner in Lord of the Rings. Didn't want to kill off Frodo and Sam in that moment. It was like, wait a minute, right? I have giant eagles.
Yeah.
You know, and frankly, I love the giant eagles. I think they're cool. I think it's a cool concept.
Well, a little bit we know about them is very interesting, actually.
But when the author himself, of the original source material, uses them so poorly or saves them as just like a trump card kind of thing, it does make it a little difficult to use them in any real capacity in a film. I mean, Peter Jackson did not have a lot of options. Yeah, he could have included a line of the eagles going, "Oh, well, derp-a-doo, we can't fly over there because we like sheep." But at the same time, you know, he also has to worry about cutting out as much, you know, filler dialogue as he can.
Yeah.
And that, frankly, is filler dialogue.
Yeah. And
because the Eagles aren't a thing. They're a plot device. They're a conveyance. They're the you know, the train scene in Final Fantasy VIII. You know, they're not important.
Furthermore, the Eagles, to keep consistent with them in Lord of the Rings, the Eagles never actually talk in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's keeping consistent with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that might be in the extended edition. You know, that line might be in the extended edition.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the thing is like, it didn't even have to be the Eagle say, you know, Frodo, Bilbo could have said, "Why don't they carry us the way?" And Gandalf just says they can't, or something. I'm just saying, like, that didn't have a problem.
Gandalf wouldn't have done that. He doesn't explain anything.
He's a wizard. He explains what he feels like explaining. Which is nothing.
But yeah, no, I get how some people would see that as a plot hole, but
yeah,
I don't know. Some people are too sensitive.
But the one thing that I wasn't a particular fan of,
let's hear it.
Again, this is a really tiny nitpick thing. It's really stupid, but I did not like I did not like how Gollum is done in the film. Primarily, his final line in the movie, I did not like how it's done.
What was it?
Well, in the book, you know, Bilbo hears, you know, Gollum off in the distance screaming, "Thief, thief, thief, Baggins, we hates it, we hates it, we hates it forever."
Yeah.
In the cartoon version of The Hobbit, he screams out that line like a bloody, like he is screaming at him and declaring, you know, he hates him forever and he hates him and all that, and death to him.
Okay.
In this movie, the way Gollum says it, it sounds like a wife just saying it to the side to their husband, like, "Oh, Jimmy D, I hate you." Like, it was very lack of emotion.
There was a lot of sadness in that part. He was upset and crying.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that, having not heard it.
Yeah,
but
I think
that's just Andy Serkis, the guy who plays Gollum.
Yep.
Plays a very sad Gollum.
Yes.
He doesn't. He in Lord of the Rings, Gollum only gets mad a few times, but more often than not, he's a very sad, very weepy, very unhappy, tragic, dramatic character.
And they keep that in this film a lot.
It's a great... Yeah, exactly. And Serkis probably kept that. And I can sort of see where coming from the animated Hobbit with Gollum screaming and fire and blood and fury, and then going to Andy Serkis's very sad, would cause that sort of dissonance, I think is the word I'm looking for.
The Andy Serkis Gollum, you know, he's got like a split personality disorder, and that's kind of
well, that's because Gollum kind of has a split personality
but
disorder.
They really push it. They didn't really push it in the cartoon.
Yeah, well,
is what I'm saying.
That was more Jackson's direction than Serkis's
the writing staff. But the live action Gollum, if we will, even though whatever.
Yeah.
They pushed that more than they did in other variants, like the cartoon. And when he said it in that kind of weepy voice, he didn't like the nice, you know, the Smeagol personality, if you would. And that one's always the one that's upset and mournful, so it makes sense.
Well,
mournful.
Well, the one thing to be argument going off of that, like, I always took it to conflict. Like, when I read that part in the book, and I was like, wow, you know, he's totally different. I always took it to the point that the fact that he had the ring was kind of like his balance. You know, he had the ring, you know, all was right with the world, and he snapped when he loses the ring, and then he starts breaking down. That's how, when I, at least going from the Lord of the Rings movies to Gollum in The Hobbit, that's how I kind of broke. It's like, okay, he's crazy, but he's still, he's pseudo-sane because he's got his ring, everything is bright, and then he just fell off the deep end when he lost the ring.
No, he was always crazy.
You also have to remember that was 60 or so years, 60 plus years after The Hobbit. After he'd lost it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I could make the argument that Gollum in The Hobbit was not that crazy yet.
That's
that he was
I mean.
crazy,
like
but not
really
that
crazy. But once he lost the ring, that's when he started going
right.
crazier.
So he wasn't crazy enough to snap like that yet in The Hobbit. Would be the argument I would make to that. But that's just making arguments for making arguments.
Yeah, but I guess that's like the things like I kind of like that idea. But on the same side, I can understand why they still do the whole crazy part in this film because, consistency, it would seem very odd if he's very mellow in one movie and then totally nuts in another film.
I think it comes down to something I've noticed in that you can tell a lot about a person by what kind of crazy they like to see in their crazy characters.
Fair enough.
If you talk to somebody who really likes their insane characters to be the fury psychopath type, or the sad sort of maudlin type, it says something about the crazy that lives in that person. Now, I'm not saying that if you meet somebody who really likes the psychopath type to run.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we all have a little crazy in us. We all have the capacity to lose it.
Yes.
But for example, I like the mournful, regret-filled, sort of sad crazy that will be their nutty self most of the time, but then you'll catch them when they're off guard. And it's like, oh, he's really sad. Like, I don't. Neither of you have seen Once Upon a Time, but actually, Rumpelstiltskin.
I've been watching it.
Good man. Rumpelstiltskin is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Once you start to get about halfway through season 1, it's like, oh, he's sad, and you just want to hug him. And that's because I've spent a lot of time in my life being that kind of person, hiding a lot of unhappiness and whatever, but I'm not turning this into a sob show for me. That's why I go to therapy. But at the same time, if someone holds a lot of anger inside themselves and they see that crazy character expressing it, I think it's a sort of
relate.
It's relatable. It's almost living vicariously.
Yep.
Where they can see this crazy and it's a relief.
Yeah.
I think that's just a theory I have. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but observations have shown that
it makes sense because, like you say, generally a lot of people who, when they go to see movies and such, their favorite character tends to be the character they either wish they could be or can relate to the most.
Right. That's why Spiderman is so popular.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's both.
Yep, he's the dude you want to be, but the dude you can also relate to.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear what happened to Spider-Man?
No.
Hold on. You gotta... Okay, do you mean in the comics, or the guy who played him?
Oh, no, the comics, issue 700 or something.
What, did he die?
Yeah.
Again?
Wait, well, hold on. When did this happen? Because I know, they killed Ultimate Spider-Man a while ago, but there was other stuff going on with Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, they I think they killed him in December on issue 700 and replaced him with Dr. Octopus.
Now, is it a confirmed kill? Is there a body?
I think so, and they're replacing him with the Superior Spider-Man, who's Dr. Otto Octavius.
What?
Who has
Hold
all
on, I'm
Spider-Man's
Googling
memories.
this. Spider-Man dead. I'm Googling it.
Wait, so Dr.
Hold on. Found the Huffington Post. Hold on.
Oh, we all trust the Huffington Post, don't we? Actually, it's a good call.
I don't know who the
by
Huffington
comparison
Post
to
is.
the Onion, yes. Okay, Spider-Man dead? No, but Peter Parker gets replaced by Dr. Octopus in the latest issue.
Yeah.
Well,
Matt reads that. Going back to Matt, read the part with Gollum again.
That was an awful
crazy
sentence.
in the riddle scene. I know I'm jumping back and forth, but he's already in the My Precious and all that crazy crap. He's already insane. It gets worse after he loses the ring.
Yes, but that's what the thing is. I I think it was more of like, you know, a sense between the Gollum in Lord of the Rings and such and the Gollum in The Hobbit. I guess I was hoping for a slight, subtle difference to kind of represent the fact that, okay, he's got the ring, all is right with the world, and the Lord of the Rings whereas I don't have the ring, nothing is right with the world type of a feel. But that's just a personal preference. Like I said, that was a very nitpicky part.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed the movie a lot, despite this part.
Love the movie. Everyone that should go see it. I think Peter Jackson does a great job translating Tolkien, and a few other people could do it.
Okay, so I've skimmed this article. It's not so much that Peter's dead. He did they pulled a like father like son.
Okay.
He swapped bodies with Ock. Ock is in Doc Ock has like his body for a couple years now has been like useless.
Right.
Like he's all withered and awful. But
Yeah,
he and Doc Ock swapped bodies. The issue isn't so much that now Peter's running around killing people because now he's in Peter's body, but he's also experiencing Peter's memories.
Oh.
So he's actually becoming heroic, but he's also still got that like Doc Ock ego.
So where's Peter
Like,
Parker in all this?
Peter Parker's in Doc Ock's body.
That sucks.
He's in a useless madman's body, which I mean, I'm curious to see what that'll do with Peter. But I hope this doesn't last. I don't think it will, because Dan Slott tends to know what he's doing.
Yeah, I trust. I heard Dan Slott was doing it, so I'm like, he's got this.
It's not going to be another One More Day.
Look, we don't talk about One More Day.
Yeah, no, I will. You know, I'm gonna come. Where are you right now?
Where am I?
Are you at your
right
house?
behind
Or
you.
No, you're not. I'm against a wall.
I am
Are you
in the
at your girlfriend's or are you at home?
No, I'm at my regular house.
Okay, well, when next time you're at your girlfriend's, I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna punch you for bringing up One More Day. Because I hate you so much.
So, for surprisingly with that, I've avoided that whole thing for the longest time, and I just finally saw a synopsis of it to find out exactly what went on with that, and I was like, wow, I can now understand why everyone hates this.
It's just...
They took away like years of character development in one fell swoop, and
right. Well, it was a combination of that, and it was poorly done. And the last two issues were clearly not written by the writer, as it were, in that he didn't get to decide anything. In fact, if you read up on it, the guy who wrote it flat out told them not to put his name on it in the last two issues because it wasn't his story anymore.
Yeah,
it was all editorial-fied.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to do the way that the story was going was not the way he wanted it to go.
Yeah, and unfortunately he didn't have any say.
honestly, would have been good is if Aunt May just died. I hate to say it, but that would have been better character growth for Peter Parker.
Yes, it would have. The problem was that the editor-in-chief at the time,
Quesada,
Joe Quesada,
who had
exactly.
done so many great things up until then.
Yes, I was going to get to that. Joe Quesada, he, for anyone who doesn't know, Joe Quesada implemented One More Day as a way of getting rid of Peter Parker's marriage to Mary Jane. He felt that being married aged the character, and that getting a divorce would only age him further, and apparently losing his aunt would age him further, and he just doesn't understand that people can relate to loss like that, and he was making a whole lot of bad decisions when it came to Spider-Man based on his own personal preferences, which is just bad
Horrible.
editing. It's just poor integrity on his part. That said, I will never be the person to say that Joe Quesada did no good for us. He's actually the reason we still have Marvel.
Yep.
Because when he got into office, they were bankrupt, and now they're huge and they have Disney money.
Yeah.
So
Joe Quesada
he brought back Daredevil.
I mean,
Daredevil's a thing now because of him.
Yeah. Before One More Day, people loved Joe Quesada. I didn't know anyone that knew of him and was in the comics that didn't say, that man is awesome. And then One More Day happened, and all of a sudden everyone's like, he's the devil.
Right. But yeah, so that's the problem with One More Day, is that it was just really poorly put together, it was poorly conceived, and it robbed us of not only potential character development, but Peter really did go back a number of years.
And became unlikable for a while.
He was suddenly living with Aunt May again. he was falling apart in that Spider-Man 1 kind of way, or Spider-Man 2 rather kind of way, where like just he was super unreliable. Nobody really believed him when he said anything, and they also erased one of the greatest moments in comic book history, and it made me sad. The moment I'm talking about specifically is when Aunt May discovers that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because he had just, I don't know if anyone was reading comics at the time or is familiar, but for our viewers, there was a moment after a days-long battle that he'd been having with some ridiculously powerful enemy.
Morlon.
Morlon. He comes home, and he just flops onto his bed and passes out because he's been fighting for days and he's beat to hell and he just doesn't care anymore.
He barely won.
And
he was, like,
minutes later, it could be, they don't really give us a clear indicator of time, but I'm assuming it's like 10 minutes later, Aunt May opens the door to his bedroom and finds him like bleeding and unconscious on his bed in the spider suit, and that's how she finds out that he's Spider-Man. And it's just this...
That is pretty neat.
It's just this moment where you're just, like, you're looking at it, you go, oh, God.
And then she takes it really well, and it really brings the two characters together.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is every time someone Spider-Man has cared about has found out that he's Spider-Man, they take it pretty well.
You know the best part about
I think that's partially because Peter has a lot of integrity as a hero, and is one of the paragons of heroism in the setting where they're like, you know what? If he had to be anybody, I would like him to be Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I stepped on a sentence of yours. Go ahead.
It's okay, the best thing that came out of that is when she canceled her subscription to the Daily View.
Yeah.
That was
yeah. And then she married J. Jonah Jameson's father.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Though I think that might have been after One More Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was after. I think that was actually a Brand New Day. Though that was still pretty dope. I thought that was like one of the few good things that came out of that because it was just funny.
Yeah.
And I think Peter walked in on them doing it at one point,
Oh,
and like the way they draw Aunt May, that makes that like the worst. And the way they draw J. Jonah Jameson's father, he actually looks like one of my ex-girlfriend's gay uncles, which made it a very special moment for me. Not that the fact that the uncle is gay really means anything for his character, he's a great guy, but like the fact that he looked like a gay guy I think made it funnier that he was doing Aunt May. I think that's why I specified. Not to piss off any of our homosexual viewers if we have any, I got no problem. But yeah, how long have we been recording? It's almost an hour. We are double our intended time.
So,
but you know what? Actually, I don't really mind this being an hour thing.
No, I don't
Like,
mind.
do we want to move forward with the idea of being an hour as a possibility? Because honestly, like, most people who listen to this are probably just going to put it on while they paint.
Yeah, most likely.
Let us know.
Let us know. What are you doing when you're listening?
Yeah, what do you do when you listen?
I'd rather not
I've
know
never.
what they're doing.
Well, I'd love to know. I never
curious.
actually listen to podcasts, so most of the time I'm like, what do people do when they listen to it? They just sit there and actually listen?
Yeah, I usually paint.
But,
honestly.
But
So,
yeah, I usually
driving while
paint with
listening.
things like this. In any case, I think we're gonna call it here.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Fearless Gamers.
Thank you.
Check us out on YouTube and Facebook as usual.
And hopefully we'll get this up on iTunes soon, and then we can start listening to us there.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And we'll keep you posted on any new developments.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you. We're gonna do this
Weekly,
Gonna try,
hopefully.
All right, so
It's very odd. We do this on a Monday, but we're going to try and do this on Sundays since we have a little bit better time getting on the computer and on doing this. So probably a Sunday recording, Monday release. So try to do it every Monday of the week. That'll be on and available to listen to.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one, and until next time, take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.